right, so for our day 24 do now, what I gave you is a bunch of little number sentences written out with words instead of numbers. And I'm having you take those words and put them into the correct inequality like we did here, solving it for n, and then graphing your answer. So, for number 1, let's look at it together. What did you guys write for your inequality?
2n.
Alright. 2n, so you did 2 times n, there's 2n, and you said less than, good, is less than 10. Perfect. Did everybody get this far? Awesome. Alright, so let's solve for n. 2 times n is less than 10. How are we going to solve here? Divide. Good. We're using our inverse operations just like last unit. Those 2's will cancel and we get what as our answer?
5.
N is less than 5. Good. Okay, so how are you going to draw the graph of that? Open circle to the left. And what do I write above my tick mark? 5. Gotta write the number. Perfect. Okay. Anybody not get this for number 1? All right. Good deal. Any questions before we try 2? All right. Let's look at number 2. I have n plus 5 is greater than or equal to 12. What did you guys write for your inequality? N plus 5. Good. We got that part. Greater than. Ooh, yes. Greater than or equal. So how am I going to show that it's or equal? Yeah, we draw a little line under the symbol. And what number goes after that sign? 12. 1, 2. Did everybody get this far? Good. All right, so now let's solve for n. What did you do to solve for n? Perfect. We just subtract 5 from both sides. Our 5's will cancel. And we're left with what? Perfect. N is greater than or equal to 7. Did everybody get that? Good. All right, how do we graph that?
Shaded in circle.
Yep, we're going to make sure our circle is shaded in because whenever it is equal to, we include the tick mark. We include the number here. What number is this going to be? 7. Good. Yep, and we shade to the right because n can be any number that is 7 or bigger. N is greater than or equal to 7. Any questions on number 2? Okay, guys, awesome. Let's look at 3. What'd you guys write for number 3?
-1
Mm-hmm.
plus 10n.
Perfect. So there's the -1 plus 10 times n.
Greater than.
Is greater than -1. Awesome. Now this one was a little tricky to solve. But let's go ahead and do that together. What's our first step here?
It's going to be add 1.
Yes, we need to add 1 to both sides. What happens next?
The 1's cancel out.
Good. The 1's cancel out on this side, and then what?
Drop it down.
Drop everything down. I've got 10 times n is greater than, what is -1 plus 1? 0. Okay, what's our last step? Divide. Divide by 10, divide by 10. Those cancel, and I'm left with n is greater than, what is 0 divided by 10? 0, still 0. So n is greater than 0. What am I labeling my tick mark with? 0. And open or closed? Open circle. Good. And shade to the right or to the left? To the right. Good. You guys get all those? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Any questions about this whole process before we move on? All right, guys. How are we feeling about inequalities? Feeling okay? Good. Okay. So today we are going to be doing this. I'll show you our topics. We are reviewing how we solve inequalities, and that needs to include our two-step and multi-step, just like whenever we did equations. That might include a few exceptions like distribution or fractions. We're going to talk about the graph and the symbol meanings, make sure that we understand all of it, and then we are introducing compound inequalities. And it's not as scary as it sounds. It's actually fairly easy. So let's go ahead and get started with a few examples for some practice. So let's do, I've got n divided by 8 is greater than 1. What would I do to solve an inequality like this? Yeah, we have divided by 8, so we're going to use our inverse operations and multiply by 8 on both sides. What happens to my 8s? They cancel. Then what? Bring it down. I've got n is greater than 1 times 8. 8. Perfect. Okay, so let's draw the graph of this one real quick. Okay. Whenever we are graphing inequalities, there are 3 things I'm looking for. I'm looking for the correct number labeled. I'm looking for the circle either open or shaded. And then I'm looking for the direction that you shade. Whether it be this way or the other way. Okay, so step 1, what number am I labeling? 8, very good. Circle open or closed? Open. And left or right? Right. N is greater than 8, very good. Okay, so that's a simple 1-step inequality. Let's look at a 2-step one. I've got 3 times n minus 10 is less than or equal to negative 25. What's our first step? Add 10. Good. We're doing our order of operations kind of backwards here. So we can do that to both sides. What happens next? Bless you.
Bring it down.
Bring it down. I've got 3n to bring down. Less than or equal to. And what is negative 25 plus 10? Negative 15. Very good. All right, whole new inequality. 3 times n is less than or equal to negative 15. Divide by 3. Very good. All right, and that leaves me with n is less than or equal to, what is negative 15 divided by 3? -5. Perfect. All right. We always want to be circling our answers. I forgot to in that first one. Okay. Now let's draw the graph. What number am I going to label? -5. Perfect. Now I need to draw my circle. Is it going to be open or closed? Closed. I need to fill my circle in because n is less than or equal to -5. So we want to show that -5 is part of that solution. And then which direction do we shade? To the left. We're shading in all the numbers that are less than -5. Okay, good, 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 good. Two more little examples for review. We're going to practice those exceptions. What if I have 2 times -3n plus 5 is greater than or equal to -2? Yes, we need to start by distributing. We cannot mess with anything inside the parentheses until we get rid of the parentheses. So what is 2 times -3n? Perfect. -6n plus 5 times 2? 10 is greater than or equal to -2. All right, now we can solve. All right, what do we do here? Good, subtract 10 from both sides. Okay, my 10s will cancel. I'm left with -6 times n greater than or equal to, what is -2 minus 10? -12. Awesome. Okay, one last step. What do we do here? Divide by -6. Good. And what's our answer going to be? Perfect. Negative divided by a negative makes a positive. So we have n is greater than or equal to +2. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Now let's graph it. Okay, walk me through the graph. What am I doing first? What number do I write? 2. What's next? Shade the circle in. Good. And left or right? To the right. Awesome. Any questions on this one? Okay, I know we're going quick. We're going to do one more. This is just the review part. That's why we're going a little speedy with it. We're going to slow down here in just a second whenever we start our next new thing. Let's say I have 3 times n minus 2. All of that divided by 4 is less than 4. What do I need to do here? So we have this, yes, I know. So we've got the whole quantity, 3n minus 2, being divided by 4. So to get rid of division, we multiply. Okay, our 4's will cancel. And what do we do next? Bring it down. I've got 3n minus 2 is less than, what is 4 times 4? 16. All right, next step. Add 2. That's going to give us 3 times n is less than what? 18. Good. And last step. Awesome. You guys have got this. Divide by 3 on both sides. And we get n is less than what? 6. Perfect. All right, last graph. Let's do it. Okay. Walk me through it. What am I doing here? 6 is my number. Good. Open circle. Shade to the left for less than. Good, 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 good. Okay. So this is pretty much all we've been doing for the last 2 days with inequalities. We're just solving like we would an equation, and we're graphing our answer. So, not too difficult. Here is where we will introduce the new stuff. Does anybody still need this page? Can I move on? All right. So, we are learning today about compound inequalities. Compound inequalities. And if you have one of those little note packets I passed out, I believe it's the last page, you should have a copy of what we're doing right now. It's going to look like this. It might look like a bunch of gibberish, but we are going to explain it all. Qualities. So if you are somebody that likes to keep definitions, I'm going to give you a definition. If not, if you prefer pictures, you don't need to know how to give this back word for word. This is more just for your information. But a compound inequality, I'm going to write it as I say it. Compound inequality is just more than one inequality joined together with one of two things. It'll be with the word and or with the word or. So we have and inequalities and we have or inequalities. I'm going to show you what both of those are going to look like. So here's our and. Make a little chart in here. And then we'll make an or side. Okay. So let's talk about inequalities with and first. When you are asked to graph a compound inequality that has and in it, it might look something like this. N is greater than 3 and n is less than 10. So there's what the number sentence itself is going to look like. N is greater than 3 and n is less than 10. So let's talk about how this graph is going to look. First we'll draw our line. Maybe label our plus and minus so we know where it increases and gets bigger and decreases or gets smaller. And normally whenever we graph an inequality, we put one tick mark in the middle and we're going from there. But this time we have two inequalities that we are joining together. So instead of one tick mark on your graph, you're going to have 2 tick marks. Okay. Once you've got your tick marks, we just now need to decide which number goes on which tick mark. So as we go from left to right on our number line, the numbers start smaller and they get bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. So we want to put the smaller number on the first tick mark and the larger number on the second tick mark. So which one of those should go where out of 3 and 10? Where should I put them?
3 on the farthest one to the left.
3 comes first.
10 on the first one, right?
Perfect. And 10 comes second. So I want to put them in numerical order. Okay, now that we have our numbers labeled, you guys, we're just doing the exact same thing that we've done before. We're going to look through our checklist. It says we've labeled our numbers. The next step is to draw our circles. So for n is greater than 3, will I color my circle or leave it open? Leave it open. And for n is less than 10, colored or leave it open? Leave it open. Very good. Okay, all that's left to do is to figure out where to shade. So we want to look at our inequalities separately. I've got n is greater than 3. Which direction am I going to shade for the 3? Greater. Yes, so we're going to go to the right. So I'm just going to draw a little arrow. I know I'm going to go this way. And n is less than 10. So which direction for 10? To this way. The left. You're okay. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. So now we have 2 arrows pointing towards each other. So to complete our drawing, all we do is shade everything in the middle. We're going to shade the overlap. And that's our answer. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's do another one together. Give you another and example. How about n is less than or equal to 21 and n is greater than -3. First of all, how many tick marks am I going to have? 2. I got 2 answers, 2 numbers, so I need 2 tick marks. And which number is going to go on which tick mark?
-3 goes on the first one.
Yes, -3 goes on the first one. Why is -3 coming first?
Because it's the lowest number.
Yes, it's the lowest number. It's smaller. We want to put our numbers in number order, not just the order we see them in. So we've got -3 coming first, and then 21 is our only number left. So we're going to write 21. Okay. What should we do next?
Open circle.
Mm-hmm.
-3.
Perfect. -3's got an open circle. How about 21?
Closed.
Closed. Good. All right. And which direction are we shading for both of these?
In the middle.
We're shading it right in between them, in the middle. As a rule of thumb, guys, if we're doing an and inequality, we're always shading in the middle. Because I've got n is greater than -3, so that means I'm shading to the right of -3. And n is less than or equal to 21. So we can see we're shading to the left where the numbers get smaller. So our solution is any number that is in between these values, not including -3. We are including 21. Okay, any questions about that, guys? Feel okay about it? Let's look at or. I'm going to give you some examples for that one. Let's start with n is less than -2 or n is greater than 9. So I need to start with my 2 tick marks. And which number is going to go where?
-2 goes to first.
Yes, -2 comes first because it's smaller, and then 9 must go second. That's all we got left. All right, now what? Good. Open circles for both. They're just less than and greater than. There's no equal to in there. And then let's look at our direction here. I have n is less than -2. So I'm going to look at my -2, and what direction am I going? Good. To the left. We're going to go where the numbers are less than -2. And now let's look at 9. I have n is greater than 9, so which direction for 9? To the right. Very good. So our OR inequalities, we're going to have answers that shade opposite directions of each other. They're going to be facing outside of each other. That means any number smaller than -2 can be in, or any number that is bigger than 9 can be in. Anything in between those numbers will not work. All right, let's do another one. I have n is greater than 4, or n is less than or equal to -1. All right. Which number goes where? Yep, -1 comes first. It's the smaller number. And then we write 4. Now let's look at our circles. -1, open or closed circle? Closed. Good. -1 is included, less than or equal. And then for 4, do we color the circle in or not? Nope. Okay, now let's look at our directions. N is greater than 4. What direction of 4? To the right. And we know we're doing an OR, so we're going to look here. It shows us that we're going to the left where numbers are less than -1. All right. So there's a couple of examples. That's not so bad, is it? It's really not. It's not too bad. Here's where it gets trickier. The only time it's really getting trickier is when we start solving and then graphing. And it really doesn't get that much worse. So here's an example for an and. N plus 9 is greater than -1, and 9 plus n is less than 17. Okay, so we've got a compound inequality here. We cannot graph it yet, so what should we do first? Yeah, we just need to solve it. Same as we've been doing. It's just we've got 2 to solve now. So for our first inequality, n plus 9 is greater than -1. What do I do? -9. And that's going to leave me with n is greater than -10. Everybody okay with that answer? Awesome. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other one. I've got n, or 9 plus n is less than 17. So we need to get rid of that 9. We're going to subtract from both sides. And I'd be left with n is less than what? Say it again. 36? 26. 17 minus 9, not plus. That's all right. That's all right. What's that going to give us? 8. Good. Good. All right. Now we can graph our answer. Okay, I've got my line. What do I do first? -10, is that what you said? Good deal. We got to draw our tick marks and then label them. -10, 8, and how about our circles? Open for both? Yes, open for both. And what direction? In the middle. N is greater than -10, so we shade this way. N is less than 8, so we shade that way, and they overlap. There's our graph. All right. I feel like you guys got this. I feel like I'm boring you. Yes, we're going to do another OR. Let's do 2n minus 5 is greater than or equal to -1. Or 4 plus n is less than or equal to -3. So what should I do first? Add 5 to both sides. We're just solving like normal. Yeah, my 5's cancel. -1 plus 5 is, say that again. 4, perfect. And then we got to bring that 2n down. So now we've got 2 times n is greater than or equal to 4. And I heard you say it, Holly, we'll divide by 2 on both sides. What happens next? My 2's are going to cancel. What'd you say?
So I'm getting ahead.
That's all right. That's all right. So we've got n is what? What's my sign? Greater than or equal to. 4 divided by 2 is 2. All right, we got one of them done. So we know n is going to be greater than or equal to 2. So let's do our next one here. I've got 4 plus n is less than or equal to -3. What should I do here? -4. Good. Good, good, good. My 4's will cancel. So that leaves me with n is less than or equal to -3 minus 4. What's that? -7. Good. Good, good, good. Now we just got a graph. Okay, tell me about this graph. What are we doing?
First 2 ticks.
2 tick marks.
The first one is -7.
Good. Yes, we want to make sure we put our numbers in the correct order. I cannot tell you how many people are going to put 2 first. -7 is smaller than 2. -7 and 2. All right. And then our circle's going to be open or shaded?
First one's going to be shaded, second one's going to be
Did you copy the problem down wrong?
Oh, they're both shaded.
They're both shaded. That's okay. That's all right. So -7, n is less than or equal to -7. So to show that 7 or -7 is included, we want to shade the circle in. Same story for 2. All right, and what direction are we shading for both of these? Yes, Penny, outwards. I see n is greater than or equal to 2, so I want to shade anything bigger than 2. And n is less than or equal to -7. So I want to shade where the numbers get smaller, less. Awesome. Okay, that's all there is to it, guys. It's not going to get much more complicated than that right there. That's about as hard as this unit's going to get. The only thing that would make it more difficult is distribution or fractions. That's it. And you already know how to do that. So, let's see. I'm going to give you a couple of them to try on your own. We'll go over them together, make sure everybody feels good, and then we're going to have an exit ticket. That's all the content today, guys. Let me give you some practice problems. So, I'm going to give you one with and one with or. I'm going to have you graph 8n plus 8 is greater than or equal to negative 64, and negative 7 plus 8n is less than or equal to 57, I think. I think that's the number I wanted. Okay, so there's number one. And number two, I'll give it a little further down. Times n plus 3 greater than or equal to negative 37, or 3 times n minus 10 less than or equal to negative 25. Okay. Alright, I'm going to pause this recording, set a little timer, have you guys do those on your own, and we will come back in just a few minutes and see how we did. We've got 8 times n plus 8 is greater than or equal to negative 64, and negative 7 plus 8 times n is less than or equal to 57. What do we do here, guys? We're going to start with this first one here. You said minus 8. Let's do that. We're doing our inverse operations to both sides. Okay. What happens next? Yeah, my 8's are canceled. I'll bring down 8 times n is greater than or equal to negative 64 minus 8. Good, negative 72. Alright, what happens next? Divide by 8 on both sides. And I'm going to get n is greater than or equal to negative 72 divided by 8. What is that? Negative 9. Good. Did everybody get that so far? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, let's do the second half. What should I do first here? Yep, we want to add 7 to get rid of that negative 7. Good job. Those will cancel. So I'm left with 8 times n is less than or equal to 57 plus 7. What's that? 64. And we divide by 8 on both sides, which will give us n is less than or equal to what? 8. 64 divided by 8 is 8. You guys get that too? Good. Yay. Okay, let's make our graph. Okay, so I need 2 tick marks. And where do I put each of my numbers? Yes, we're going to put -9 first because it's smaller, comes first on the number line. And do we circle it and shade it, or circle it and leave it open? Good. We're going to shade -9 in because n is greater than or equal to -9. So we want to include -9 in our answer. And what do we write on the second tick mark? 8. Good. It says n is less than or equal to 8. So do I shade my circle or not? You do. 8 is included. All right. Now do I shade in between the dots or outside? In between. N is greater than -9, so we're going this way. N is less than or equal to for both of them. 8, so we go this way. They overlap, so we shade in the middle. Any number between -9 and +8. That's our solution set. Okay, any questions about that one? Feeling okay? All right, let's try number 2. What'd you do first? Subtract 3, good. Both sides. And that's going to give me 10 times n is greater than or equal to, what is -37 minus 3? -40. All right, what's next? Yes, I know what you mean. Divide by 10, divide by 10. It's Monday, it's been a day. All right, so that leaves us with n is greater than or equal to -40 divided by 10 is -4. All right, everybody get that? Good, 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 good. All right, let's do the other side. We're going to go through this a little more quickly because I want to give you guys time for your exit ticket. We're going to add 10 on both sides. That leaves us with 3 times n is less than or equal to -15. Good job. We divide by 3 to get rid of the 3 times n. My 3's cancel out. I'm left with n is less than or equal to -15 divided by 3 is -5. Good. Okay, now here's where it gets tricky. We need to remember how our negative numbers behave. So, if it helps you on one like this, when you're graphing, if you need to write more than just 2 tick marks, that's okay with me. For example, maybe I want to put 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. I want to remember which number is going to come first. So which number comes first? -5. That's smaller than -4. Our negative numbers are backwards. Our positive numbers go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on forever. So our two numbers here are -4 and -5. So we're going to circle their tick marks. Do we shade their tick marks in or no? Yes. It says n is greater than or equal to -4. So that means -4 is included since it could be equal to. And same story with -5. Okay. We've got our circles shaded. What direction do we shade for each of our numbers? Yes, we are shading away from each other. This is an OR inequality, so they go away. And just in case we forgot, let's just look at our symbols and see why they face away. I've got n is greater than or equal to -4. So I need to shade any number that's bigger than -4. And n is less than or equal to -5. So less goes to the left. I'm going to shade any number that would be smaller than -5. And that's our answer. Okay guys, not so bad, huh? You guys got this. Alright, here is your exit ticket. I'll leave that up for a minute in case anyone is copying answers. But your exit ticket is just 3 questions. Or I'm going to put this to the side actually. If anyone needs it, come see me. I'm happy to give it to you. 3 questions. There is a bonus point if you want it. You don't have to do it. But if you feel like maybe you want some extra points on your grade, the question with asterisks by it is a bonus point. So that is all today, guys. When you finish, you may go. I'm going to end that recording.